A very good night to all of you, and welcome to Real Talk.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Real Talk. Today is Monday, the 15th of June, and here it is that, time continues to run, and time waits for no man, as we always say. Welcome to our social media platform program, Real Talk, and usually for political leader and other persons within the party, and obviously both within and outside of the party. We just want to say a special good night to those of you who are tuning in to Real Talk. It's always a pleasure to be with you. We will tonight concentrate on current issues, and obviously we will be talking about, some aspects of our 10-pillar plan with respect to bringing restoration to our people. It is very important that we do so because at the end of the exercise, what matters, what matters really are the people. And we want to say to you that we have the view and we believe and we are the viable alternative for rescuing this country. We are a team comprised of men and women with diverse backgrounds, and obviously, we are ready to deliver to Dominicans. We are ready as a government in waiting to formulate policies that are going to impact on the people of Dominica positively. And so it is very important that we actually pay attention to what is going on around us. We have heard not too long that the PAL rep, former PAL rep of Rosanov, by the way, she came in 2022. We call it the sham election time, when she was given Rosanov on a platter because we did not contest for many reasons. However, she has since resigned, and based on the constitution, there will be pending our what they call by-election. And so we are always ready and willing to move forward. And as you know, we had a current caretaker in the name of Mr. Daniel Luge, who has, by the way, won the seat twice and is coming back for this seat under the United Workers' Party. And so we will contest the by-election. Some people say it may be a general election. Either of the two, whether it's a by-election or general election, the United Workers' Party, we are ready to contest and ready to move forward to get Dominica rescued from this rogue governance we have had over the past 24 years. It cannot be that a country continues to struggle, and this country has not seen or has realized any form of, real, development for people. We have seen and noticed we have had several projects, but Dominicans continue to be looked at as second-class citizens in their own land. And so I think enough is enough. And Dominicans have been saying that. And we are actually saying this is enough. We have had enough of this. Every nail, every screw, every hand knob, every doorknob, every, window, roof sheets, plywood boards, name it, solar heater panels, solar water heaters, electrical components, plumbing components, tiles, paint, cement. The only thing they do not import into for their project is water and the aggregate and the sand. No. So, it's a real challenge for our country. And so we say we are the viable alternative and we're ready to govern under the leadership of Dr. Thompson Fontaine, world-renowned economist, who himself has done quite a lot of work overseas and have brought, decent, decent operations with respect to economic advancements to the very nations that he has served in his projects. And, I'm talking about countries who have higher populations than us, plenty times higher than us. And so if he can do it for other big countries, he can also do it for us. So Dr. Thompson Fontaine, welcome tonight. I mean, can you just tell us what has been happening on the ground? Because I know we have been on the ground, and for the past few days, a lot have been happening, including what we hear of the resignation of Miss Miriam Blanchard as the caretaker or the parliamentary representative for the Rosenhof constituency. You have the floor to inform us as to what continues to take place on the ground, and as a party, how do we see ourselves shaping up going forward?
Yes, absolutely. So, good night again to our many, many listeners. And I must say that it is indeed my pleasure to be back on Real Talk. I look forward to every Monday night to be able to communicate with our scores of fans and supporters and well wishers across the globe as we discuss matters of national importance. It appears so that we are in an election cycle, as you said. We just heard of the resignation of the former Minister of Government, Miriam Blanchard. Again, I want to extend my support and encouragement to Miriam and her family. I know Miriam way back. I was one of my best friends growing up was her brother. We grew up just does apart in Pottersville. So, we go way back and for many, many, many years. And I'm very sorry to hear of her struggles right now, her health struggles, forcing her resignation. And we certainly wish her well and wish her full and complete recovery. In the meantime, of course, her resignation has triggered the 3-month period. So that takes us to September 12th, when the government of Dominica, by law, must call a by-election. And now the only thing that prevents a by-election in that 30-day period, the 3-month period, is if there is a general election, which will supersede the by-election. So there is a possibility that there could be an general election within that 30-day period. And it's something that as a party, we are preparing for, we are prepared for. Obviously, we are working very hard on ensuring that we have excellent candidates. And on that note of candidates also, I must say, I feel really excited tonight that, we'll be offering the Dominican public a tremendous slate of candidates. We are having, as a party, individuals are putting their hands up to be a part of this movement for change. And it's something that I feel extremely proud of as leader of this great party, that there were individuals in Dominica who believe in the viability, who believe in the opportunity, who believe that we can make that change, and who are prepared to come on board. And we're really thankful for that. In time, we'll be naming our candidates as we move along. That is a matter of priority for the party, but it is happening, especially with this resignation and with this talk of election. Obviously, it puts a bit more urgency in our dealings and more urgency in ensuring that we identify those good candidates. So I want to set your minds at ease. I want to set the minds of those who are listening at ease, that we are working very hard to put the candidates in place that will be able to go up there, that will be able to bring that message of hope and revival and change to the people of Dominica. So it's an exciting time. We continue to be on the ground. We continue to encourage our candidates and caretakers to do the necessary work of visiting the homes, finding out, looking after the interests and the welfare and the well-being of their neighbors and so on. That is something I believe that's very important as a government in waiting, that we show we care, we show that the people that we hope to represent in Parliament, we want to show them that we care deeply about them, that we're taking an interest in their lives and interest in what is going on with them, and trying in every way possible to help them, because we believe that at the end of the day, their support will be crucial in allowing us to get to that point where we can redeem this country and move it away from the clutches of this regime, which has been in office now for over 25 years. And everybody admits that it is about time that everybody is of one voice in Dominica to say, now enough is enough. This government needs to go. And that is where we come in as a party that is well organized, that is well structured, that it continues to grow from strength to strength. And we are truly excited about the prospects of having a government in place that can really serve the interests and the best interests of the Dominican public.
Yes, and I'm happy that you have said so, because, just as we speak about being on the ground, Saturday past, we, as you know, Roseau Central has declared its candidate, and in name of Miss Juliet Shillingford. And I had the opportunity on Saturday to be on the ground with her, and she was pretty much well received. And persons are excited about her presence, her demeanor, and they just are all excited about Rosa Central. And so we continue to say that, in spite of what people think, we are actually making strides, and a lot of people, they're admiring that the work that we do. And we are not going to be, sort of wired or meshed or netted or linked to negativity. We need to get off this and just move forward in a positive way to impact a positive presence on people so that people will raise their confidence level. We need to inspire, and not to bring down people. And so I'm very encouraged by what I'm seeing so far. And I know that is happening in many of the other constituencies. And so, Doc, let me say I am very elated to have been part of you under you for the past time, and being part of the executive as public relations officer. I'm seeing you in action, and I know that you worth it. It's worth it. You have what it takes to carry this team through. And I just want to just say kudos to you, and keep the spirit going, because you seem to be above the fray, and you are actually moving in the right direction, not settling for minuscule for things that doesn't matter, or minuscule matters. But I believe what is important is that you are showing that you are a fortified leader, you are someone who can lead and to lead us in the right direction. So yes, we have work to do. But Doc, interestingly, we have been talking about our 10-pillar plan, and it seems to me again, or it appears to many, that this plan, 10-pillar plan, has been resonating, among the population, and many persons are connecting to it. They actually getting to understand it every day, every night. One guy told me it appears that 10-pillar plan becomes his breakfast, his lunch, and his supper. And he says, it's just a matter of operationalizing it when we get into government. And so we are excited about it. And so we continue to look at areas where we need to advance people's personal development, and, to make sure that people are satisfied with their quality of life. And so, Doc, as we continue to reflect, you know that the cost of living continues to be a concern for many. And when we talk about the cost of living, it always means to us that once we have more disposable income, then it is obvious that we have more what they call spending power. And so, because we are not seeing this in this country, I believe it is an opportune time to sort of reiterate some of the things that will actually bring that kind of, attention to people, and to bring that kind of benefit to people. So once again, I invite you to at least, point out to some areas where the people will be benefiting from our 10-pillar plan.
Yes, so indeed, and the exciting thing about the 10 pillars, and why I believe people are catching on to it, is because it's really a blueprint for the future development of this country. And importantly, it is one that does not take in the CBI. That was deliberate. We deliberately did not work into this plan, the CBI, because of the struggles of the program, because it has gotten us into problems with the United States government. For instance, we have a situation where, because of our CBI program, we are now under a travel ban from the US government, where no new visas have been processed, no new green cards have been processed. Individuals, and more recently, we had the head of the Caribbean Tourism Organization, Mr. Gregor Nassif, who is a very prominent businessman here in Dominica. He was denied a U.S. visa. This is a gentleman who is doing work on behalf of the entire region, Caribbean region, and yet cannot travel to the United States because he's in possession of a Dominican visa. And so these are some of the problems and the issues that the Dominican public are faced with. And one of the reasons, quite frankly, why they're looking to a United Workers' Party government to change all of that. And that's the reason why, when we determined that we're going to focus on the future plan of development for this country, we looked at 10 areas that does not include the CBI. If we get the CBI program, then that will just be, if it continues, or at least for a few months when we're in office, that will be icing on the cake. But our plan is not to continue to rely on a source of revenue that's at the heart of it is really a sale of our birthright. And now we have over 50,000 persons who have been issued Dominican passports. and the rest of the world have serious issue with what we are doing. And so we must be conscious of that, and hence the reason for putting our faith and our confidence in that 10 pillars. And I will again run through this very, very quickly with our audience, because it's something that we need to keep stressing. And every week we'll look at different aspects of it. We look at different areas of this plan. And some of the areas I would like to stress tonight is our water industries. I believe that, and we'll all agree that on a daily basis, tens of thousands of gallons of water flow out of Dominica into the sea. And this is water we believe that can be harnessed. This is water we believe that can become an income stream for us. At the heart of the 10 pillar plan is to provide prosperity for all Dominicans. And that's why we said we have captioned it shared prosperity for all Dominicans, because the hope is by developing the industry, by working on these 10 pillars, that the people of Dominica will be in a position to earn a living, will be in a position to get good paying jobs, and ultimately make a life for themselves. So that is what we are offering with the 10 pillars. And the water industry that we are focused on is to really make it easier for the private sector to occupy the space. What I mean is that we'll be offering incentives for persons who want to invest in the water industry to do so. So whether it's to do bulk water exportation or bottled water exportation, or whether it is to do flavored water exportation, alkaline water, you name it, mineral water, any one of those various types of water that we can manufacture here in Dominica, we want to make it available. So we'll be offering incentives in that area. That's an area we are targeting for development. We are targeting for commercialization, because we want to make it commercial. We want to make money out of it. We want to build it into a formidable industry. That is the plan for the water industry. We believe we can make tens of millions of dollars from this through exports. We believe we have some of the best water anywhere on the globe. We believe that very few countries have the quality of water we have, the purity of water that we have coming from the Nature Isle, an island that is largely unspoiled, an island that is largely unpolluted. The water is as pure as it comes, and we make that available to the rest of the world. The rest of the world need to get a taste of the Dominica water. So under our 10 pillars, we are focused on building an industry around that, an industry that will create literally tens of hundreds of jobs. We believe jobs that will run into the thousands. Imagine the possibility of 5-6 bottling plants. Imagine a major bulk water shipment operation where we load up those barges and transport fresh, even drinkable water to the rest of the region in bulk. That is something that we're extremely excited about, that we believe is doable. And another key aspect of the plans that we have, of our 10 pillars, the key aspect of the 10 pillars is to have plans in there that are sustainable, that are doable, that with the right energy, the right direction, it can be done. And so that is what we are working on. Once we provide the correct direction, that we can ensure that we are able to harness this tremendous resource that we have. It's a tremendous water resource, and that's why we allow that to be an entire pillar, because around this pillar is the possibility to create, as I said, tens of thousands of jobs, thousands and millions of dollars of foreign currency pouring into Dominica, and quite frankly, a key way to create good paying jobs for our people. So that is one aspect I wanted to highlight, the 10 pillars. There are obviously others. We have the question of taxation. That is a real problem. The Dominican public are highly taxed. We are paying very, very high taxes. Not only do we have income tax, there are corporation taxes, there is the VAT, and there are endless duties that we have that come to us from the various areas. And I'm actually would like to show, and I'm going to try to bring this up to show the
Yes.
Dominican public what we are talking about when we refer to those very high taxes. Because what I hope I can show you is how those taxes are calculated and why it is that we believe under our 10 pillars, we will be in a position to lower these taxes. We will be in a position to make it more affordable. And as long as we make those goods coming into Dominica more affordable, then obviously it's more income in the pockets of our people. It is greater access to resources. And that's the kind of a process that we're on. We spend a lot of time discussing these issues. We obviously don't waste too much time discussing personalities. We are rightly how you call it, disheartened with our current leadership in Dominica. It is one that has really taken the country back. In fact, also I'm going to do a small pause on this particular as I retrieve the documents I'm looking for. I would like to take a little segue into one of the issues that we are concerned about. Let me talk about the way this government has brought the country. When you talk about the quality of service in our government services, all right, there is a situation where it is really disheartening. And I was talking to someone today that was complaining about the quality of the services that we have in this country. Okay, it's just terrible.
Yes,
The
certainly.
are not well organized. You have a lot of delays. I'll give you a good example of that. Some time ago, I arrived at the port at it was about just roughly after 10 o'clock, and trying to pay for do some transactions. I was told, well, the cashier is out on breakfast.
It is something else, yeah?
The cashier is out at breakfast, so you just have to wait, and I just had to wait for close to I think it's over an hour, just waiting
Wow.
for this individual who had gone out from breakfast in the middle of the morning. I mean, I can't imagine that you come to work for 8 o'clock and you have to go for breakfast at 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Breakfast is usually 15 minutes.
It is mind blowing, but these are the kinds of situations that you have, and that creates some of the problems and that we see. So it is just mind boggling that we have this. But these are some of the issues that obviously we need to to tackle. These are some of the issues that we have to focus on, and that is something that we really must pay attention to. And that is why we are doing this, and that is why we are able to bring this hope to our people. All right, I'm just trying now to get this actual
In the meantime, as
copy
you, yes, just look
of
for it.
this.
When you're ready, you tell me. But
Yeah,
I
so
will
that
just,
we can
yes,
we
when you
can
get it,
get it.
just, when you get
All
it,
right.
you'll
So
just tell me. Inform,
if I do this, yeah, I think I am able to save
yeah.
it and then open it. Excellent. So I'll be able to talk a little bit about this because it's something in the 10 pillars that we are committed to doing, but it's important as well to give the people the information. All right. It's important that we give the people the information on this. And so I think I am ready to show. So I'm just going to share this with us because that's very insightful, because what it does also is that it shows how badly the port system there is managed. It shows how badly All right, I think I should be able to open it by now, but I'm getting some issues. It shows how badly
Doc,
this.
yeah, but when you actually ready, you could say, because I'm just trying to give some feedback on the agriculture pillar as well. So when you are actually ready, when you look for it, I will just deliberate a little bit on agriculture as a pillar. And as we know, agriculture acts as a primary foundation for economic stability, food security, and environmental resilience.
Yes, indeed, indeed,
It
indeed.
builds wealth, it provides essential subsistence, and creates rural employment. And that forming a baseline for sustainable development. So it's very important. So when you're talking about our pillars, we must include the environment, we must include people, and people part of the social aspect of it, and the economic part of it, the profit. And when we talk about the environment, we have to ensure that we focus on efficient resources or efficient resource use and soil health. We know we have to ensure that we manage our soils, so that we get the maximum out of it or the optimum sort of results, and integrating practices that minimizes waste and environmental issues. When you talk about people and social, okay, good. You look like you have it ready, so we can go right ahead, Doc. Yes.
Yes, so I hope and I'm convinced that everybody can see this, but this is the calculations on a motor vehicle being imported into Dominica
Yes, it's clear.
to
It's clear
give
on the screen.
you an idea of how difficult it is. Okay, so what we are seeing on the screen, and I'm sure that individuals can probably blow up the screen and see exactly what it is. So we are starting with a vehicle that we import from Japan. It costs $1,000. Okay, so to get it from the lot, the free on board cost is $1,000. That's our very first line there, $1,000. Okay, now you add freight on this $1,000. You pay $2,600 in freight. That turns out to be $3,600. So that's the amount you're gonna pay to get this good from Japan to Dominica. $3,600, or a total of $9,780. It's not even $10,000. And yes, there are vehicles that cost that little. The used vehicles you can get a good used car for $1,000. Okay. Now look at where it gets interesting. All right. So we're now going to switch from US dollars to EC dollars. The cost is now 9,780 EC dollars, East Caribbean dollars. And here it gets interested. You're first charged a 40% import duty by the government. Okay, 40%. So already 40% of 9,780, that is $3,912. So that's added to the cost. Then you have an environmental surcharge, this arbitrary charge that we have already set the first day that we're in government we're going to remove. Makes absolutely no sense that you're charging people $10,000 for what? These cars usually have good emissions. It's not to say that they're a problem with emissions and so on. They're not really impacting the environment that much. 10,000. Then you have a service charge on top of that of 4% of the cost of the vehicles. Service charge, 4%. So that's already 40 plus 4. That's 44%, right? Then you have an excise tax of 25%. That's 4 plus 40 plus 4, 44 plus 25. That is 69% already. And that 25% tax is $6,000. And then you add all of this together and you charge VAT of 15%. So you add the cost, the landed cost of the good, plus the import duty, plus the environmental surcharge, plus the excise tax. You add all of that and you impose a 15% tax that you refer to as a VAT for further $4,515. Your duty totals $24,840.
Wow.
So you know what I'm saying?
I'm
A
getting you
vehicle that costs you just about
$1,000.
$9,000, you now have to pay duties and taxes of $24,840. That's mind-boggling. 24,000. And then when you add the 24,000 now to your almost 10,000 cost of the vehicle, you end up paying $34,621. So you pay $34,000, which, by the way, is 1.5 times the salaries of the average public servant. Okay, it's about 1.5 times because people's salaries are $1,500 a month. So that works out to much less than the $34,000. So you would have to work an entire year and a half if you want, and don't eat, don't drink, don't pay rent if
That's
you
true.
want to get a vehicle that costs you $1,000 in the first instance. I mean, how is that justifiable? How can we justify that to the Dominican public? And that's the reason why we are saying, as part of our 10-pillar plan, we are going to be reducing on some of those duties. I mean, why 40%? And why are you adding the taxes and then taking the VAT on it? That again, I think is wrong. That is double taxation. So your VAT is not 15%, but your VAT is 15% plus 15% of 69%. So effectively, that's what you are paying. You are not paying because that 15% really should be just on the value of the good. The good costs me $9,780. I should be paying 15% of that on the VAT. That should have been it. But that's not the way it's done. The government piles on all of those taxes and fees on the purchase price, and then they impose the 15% VAT. At the end of the day, $25,000 you have to pay to the government of Dominica because you decided to order a vehicle for $1,000 from Japan. That is how punitive our tax system is. That is how ridiculous our tax system is. And that's the reason why we are committing to making changes in our tax system. We'll review our taxes. We'll make them more affordable. We will make them more reasonable for the people of Dominica.
And Doc, as you say that there, I just did a little calculation there because oftentimes when people hear about duty-free, they consider duty-free to me means everything, you take out duty on everything. But no, the only thing they waive for you on the duty-free is the import duty. So let us now remove the import duty from that thing. So when people boasting they get in duty-free, it is not nothing they have, that is nothing short to talk about. So really, under that $34,000, the same vehicle that cost you $1,000, now because of $24,840 tax, comes up to $34,621. If we had to remove just the import duty, which is what the government actually waived for you, you still have to pay $40,700. $40,700. So really, and it must be noted that the only break you get here from all of this is the import duty. So really, this is cruel, and I'm happy that that environmental service charge needs to be removed immediately so that people can get some breathing space and other areas subject to sort of reduction. So Doc, we are very pleased with this, and that is just a manifestation of how this government doesn't care about its people, and all it cares is just to impose taxation, which is really burdensome for the Dominican people. And so I'm happy that we are visiting this area to bring some, at least some savings to the people of Dominica. So rest assured, people, rest assured that the United Workers' Party, your alternative government, the next viable alternative government to lead this country is going to ensure that we do this. Yes, Doc, serious. And I hope I'm right when I talk about the only duty, the only break they get is the import duty. Because nothing else comes out. Nothing else comes out.
Yes, that is correct. It's possible that they could get the excise tax waived, but it's a tax, so you may be correct. It's probably just the import duties that
Yeah,
they
I
get
told you
off.
the import duty they get in. Import duty.
Just the import duties.
Yes, I get that. That's the import.
So I wanted, because sometimes we talk and people say, "Oh, you guys are just talking," but here is the evidence. Here is the calculations that will be done on your 1,000 SUV import into Dominica.
Imagine
All
that.
right.
So we see a
I mean,
nice fancy car.
this to me is mind-boggling, but
Yes.
it also shows a government that has no conscience. A government, while all of the Dominican public are, as somebody is just posting, Susain Cell and really suffering, that mansions are being built, new buildings are going up, structures are being built all over Dominica and elsewhere. And all the time, the people of Dominica are suffering. So that a young person who is just beginning work, probably making $1,500 a month, cannot think of buying a vehicle, cannot think of having a ride that can take them from one part of the island to the other. So this is the situation that we have, and that is why it is so critical for our 10 pillars to be operational, because we will tackle this problem. Not only will we waive or remove altogether this environmental surcharge, it is just government taking $10,000 of your money arbitrarily, and that's what it is. It's almost like the government saying, "Okay, you want to buy a car? Well, you need to give me $10,000. It has nothing to do with duties, nothing. Just give me $10,000 if you hope to get a car." And that's our government doing that to its people. And that shows you exactly what kind of government we're dealing with. Government that is literally out of touch with the pain and the suffering of the Dominican people. Now, someone can argue, well, you don't need to buy a vehicle. But in Dominica, it's a convenience.
Yes.
Public transportation shuts down at 6 o'clock. So if you decide to commute from Roseau by vehicle, if you don't catch the bus in some areas at 5 o'clock p.m., you have to sleep on the road, or you have to make your way to Hostel Ride or something.
Yes.
To get to other parts of Dominica. That is how serious it is. The public. So when people say, "Well, you don't need a vehicle," the fact of the matter is, public transportation is just not really organized in Dominica. It is not. It is very difficult to get after very early, 5, 6 o'clock. I guarantee you can't get a bus from Portsmouth into Roseau at 6 o'clock on any given day. You cannot.
Right.
You cannot. Okay, so how do you encourage movement of people? How do you encourage trade? How do you encourage all of those activities that does well to contribute to the growth and development of the country? That is one of the areas that has to be tackled. And so we will pay particular attention to this because we believe it is worth addressing. And we will do that on the pillar that we call reform to our tax system. It will be a comprehensive reform that not only looks at those duties, excise duties on commodities coming into a port. I can remember times, so when you would receive a package via one of those courier services, whether it's FedEx or UPS and so on. And those packages, because they came that way, would be delivered to your home or you'd pick it up. And that was it. That was the end of it. Now, every single package is opened. And you pay duty on every single package. So if you import a pen, a special pen that you need, or a battery pack, or a charger or something, these are open and you charge duties on them here in Dominica. Personal items. These are not even items for resale. These are items that you're just buying for your own personal use and you're charged. These are areas that we're going to tackle. We believe that it is wrong. Government is simply getting too much money of the public. And why are they doing that? So because they're cash strapped. They have not been able to grow the economy. And because they've not been able to grow the economy, they're looking for every place that they can take money from the Dominican public. So we have a government that's not putting money into the pockets of the Dominican public, but they're literally taking money out of your pockets. We will do the reverse. We will put money into the hands and into the pockets of the Dominican public. That is our promise. We are not ashamed of making that promise to the Dominican public because we believe at the end of the day, we want our people to live decent lives. We want our people to live lives that's filled with dignity, where our young ladies do not have to do all sorts of extracurricular stuff to get money, that they can depend upon their hard work, their commitment to doing what they have to do, working hard to earn a decent living. Government will ensure that is in place. We owe it to our young people. We owe it to our population. And tackling this, what you see there, from 1,000 US dollars to 34,621 EC dollars is what we're talking about, is where the outrage that we manifest is coming from, and why we believe that we can put a stop to this and we can reform our tax system and give relief to the Dominican public. We talked last week about the high corporation taxes. That also is a problem. 25% corporation tax.
Yes.
So after these businesses pay all of those taxes, so they have to now pay an additional, at the end of the year, when they've done whatever profits that they've made, they have to again give government 25% out of that. Stifling innovation, stifling reinvestment, because what you really want to do is those businesses to keep reinvesting. The more they reinvest in the businesses, the better for the economy, because by then they can employ more people, they can expand, they can create more foreign exchange, they can generate more foreign exchange. That is where we want to go with this. That is what we want to do.
Yes, and I agree. And just a little bit more with respect to what you presented. If we are to make another assessment or further assessment of what you have presented, remember the vehicles coming in, they are used vehicle. They are the used vehicle. They call it third hand in most cases, second hand, third hand. And they come in and they are pre-owned vehicles. They come in. You have to still pay license and insurance license to get it on the road. So you know that is going to be added. And compare this with the used vehicles there. The government imposing that kind of tax on the poor people of Dominica. But if you look at their side of things, the government ministers themselves, all of them, they have new vehicles. All of them are able to have new vehicles, right?
And I'm sure one of the reasons for that, they get duty free. They take advantage of this duty free. They get those fees waived. They don't have to pay all those fees and duties and so on.
That's correct. Yeah, and so when you compare their standard of living with that of the ordinary man or the ordinary Dominican, it is in no way matching what they can do. So it really, they're serving their self-interest, and the policies are for them to benefit, not the people of Dominica.
You are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So what we see, so it really a tale of two Dominicas, you know.
Yes.
You have one Dominica where the Labour Party operatives, the ministers, the bon gens of the Labour Party are doing extremely well. They zoom around Dominica in the new vehicles that they receive duty-free. And then the poor, suffering public servant making $1,500 who really needs the ride because they live in Capuchin and they have to pay $30 every month, every day to go back and forth and looking for like a relief. Then they have to think twice. So you have a tale of two Dominicas, one where the majority of people are suffering, one where the majority of people can just look on as the other side of Dominica, the affluent, the well-off Dominicans working with the government, supporting this government. Those few Dominicans who are well-off are really well-off. They continue to do better. So the government, for example, froze in a 40% salary increase for the government ministers and says zero to the public servants. And I think that's one of the reasons why so. Why would you hustle yourself to work in an institution when you're getting roughly $2,000 a month? You can go for a breakfast for 2 hours, or you can disappear mid-morning and not care, you know, because What's in it for you? You don't feel
Yes.
that you're part. You feel you're depressed most of the day because you're looking forward to the month end, and then the salary comes and it is gone in 2 3 days. You know, these are the kind of pressures that the other Dominica is facing, and that is where a United Workers Party government comes in. That's where we want to tackle. We want to tackle this endless suffering of the majority of Dominicans. And that is what it is. The majority of Dominicans are suffering on a daily basis, unable to make ends meet. They have been hit with high taxes, high cost of fuel, high fuel surcharge, arbitrarily, not Domlec, Dowasco imposes an additional charge. Was it $100, $15, $100 on businesses? I met this shopkeeper the other day. He says, but I barely use water in my shop. It's just probably to wash my hand and and so on. I just have a shop reselling goods, dry goods. And because it is designated a business, I have to come up for $100 extra every month for the Wasco. And I barely use water. It is not fair. But that is the kind of pressures that has been put upon the Dominican public. And the question then is, who is looking out for the people of Dominica? Who is looking out for the interests of the people of Dominica? And that is what we are focused on. That is the assurance that we want to give to the Dominican public, that we will look after their best interests. We will tackle this issue of high taxes that we see on the port. We will tackle this issue of high rates of taxation. We will tackle this issue. Another pillar of ours is to look at the minimum wage. We've already committed to raising the minimum wage from its current $9 to $12. That's a commitment that we have given to the Dominican public. And as time goes along, of course, that will be on a constant review as to whether or not we need to increase it further. But we will ensure that the person, at the very lowest level, you're getting at least 2,000 EC dollars a month at the very minimum level. That is what we're aiming for under our minimum wage proposal that we have under the 10 pillars. Because in our estimation, $2,000 is the bare minimum that you need to, what we call a living wage, so in the literature or in economics, we refer to it as a living wage that at least you can have a little bit of something, to do what you wish to do during the year. And as a 25, 30-year-old, you don't have to seek refuge in your parents' home, but you can go out to rent a building, and that will do good for the building stock, because now persons will be getting rental income. Because if you build, you might build your home, stay on the upstairs, build out the downstairs for tenants. You can only do that if tenants have the ability to pay. But if you're making $1,000 a month, you are not able to rent, so you end up staying with your parents. And we have too much of that happening. That leads to poor self-esteem, frustration among the young people. So so if you're able to tackle that issue, if you're able to put more money into the pockets of the people, you're gonna literally eradicate a lot of the frustrations and the depression that we see among our young people, or amongst our young people. Look at the number of frustrated young men that you see on the street. They're frustrated because they can't get work. In some cases, even if they're working, they cannot make ends meet. And the question then, who is talking on behalf of these individuals? When you have a government that has grown increasingly uncaring. I mean, when you have a prime minister, for example, that continues to just accumulate stuff at the expense and not caring too much about the Dominican public. I mean, is that what the Dominican public really voted for the Labour Party? Is that the reason so that you think that Dominicans voted that they would be put into a state of permanent poverty and just see their leaders continue to accumulate? And how is it that you have a country where the lowest salary is paid to a prime minister, yet he's among the richest leaders in the region? How does that happen? It happens at the expense of the Dominican public.
Yes.
Because to get to that level, you're taking $64,000 from the Dominican public already to pay. You're billing all of these other buildings and so on. And then the average person is having a problem. The average Dominican, not the average Dominican, but many Dominicans also, I can tell you already are in fear this hurricane season because they know it's rainy season. It's bucket time. Bucket
Yes.
to collect water
Oh,
from your
what?
leaky roofs. That's the reality of Dominica. That is the reality. And I dare anyone tell me differently. We see it for our own eyes, we hear it, we experience it. That is the reality of Dominica. And that's
And
the
I,
reason why so we need absolutely to make that change. I cannot stress that enough. I cannot stress enough the need for us as Dominicans to get rid of an administration that continues to drive the Dominican public into poverty. I cannot stress enough the need for us to put an end to an administration that will take off $10,000 from your pocket simply because you want to import a vehicle into the country. We must put an end to an administration that will take $64,000 so that the prime minister can sleep well at nights, while hundreds, maybe thousands of his citizens are living under leaky roofs. That is the situation we face in Dominica, and that's all the more reason why we have to act in the next election to get rid of this administration.
yes, certainly. And, you are correct. And because they're trying to carry their banner about stability. And I would like to ask, where is the stability with respect to over 60% of the Kalinago people are living in indigence, are living in they are indigent. They are very, very poor and just cannot survive. Where is the stability when Domlek continue to take light on us? Where is the stability when people are not employed? And so just as you're talking about, where's the stability when people have to be knocking their parents' door after one to tell them, Mama, I come and open for me. You need to be independent. You're a big man or big woman, you go out to your party, supposed to have your key open in your door, not Mama, open for me. And for many election cycles, you see the minister's life get better, but the people who vote them, they get poorer and poorer and poorer again. And I'm happy that you address the whole issue of productivity. Because I think it was one country in South Asia, I think it was Singapore, who did an analysis on work productivity. And by just understanding that people were wasting time. In our situation here, people come to work late and they leave early. That's loss of time, whether it is done in the private sector, whether it is done in the public sector. We need to increase productivity. And that country, Singapore, putting some policies in place and procedures. And when they look, they've saved billions of dollars with respect to, just correcting the mistakes they have made in terms of wasting time. And so people don't understand when you waste time, you lose money. And so time is money. And that is where we are going. So I'm happy that you were able to raise this question about poor service and even poor work productivity. Because remember, work productivity will tell us about the relationship between work input and work output. And so we're not there yet. So we need to really work on that. Where's the stability? And people continue to experience high water rates. Where's the stability when people continue to experience high electricity rates? Where's the stability when over 50,000 passports have been sold? Billions of dollars came into this country. Yet Dominicans cannot get what they call stimulus. Where's the stability? Where's the stability when you have to continue to give somebody a ham or turkey at Christmas time? Where's the stability? Where's the stability when we have one of the finest what they call tourism product, which is what was created by the United Workers' Party, the World Creole Music Festival. And then you have to give people tickets to enter the park, to fill the park. Where's the stability? Where's the stability when people have to wake up in the morning, they open their fridge and nothing? And you're talking about running a campaign on stability? Their lives have been stabilized, not the ordinary man's life. And so people, you must look at this and let me get some of the feedbacks that people have been talking about based on what we are talking about. So there's no stability, Doc. Where's the stability when the fisherman goes out, right? And cannot actually sell all of his fish, right? Where's the storage, right? Where is it? Where's the stability when feeder roads are in bad condition? You need to stabilize everything, every sector. Every area of the economy needs to be stabilized. Yet running a campaign on stability and nothing around you, nothing talking about growth has been stable. I think that is a myth, that is wishful thinking. And for this reason, Dominicans should really echo a song to the government. Enough is enough. But somebody saying there, sensible, level-headed conversation. No neck vein bursting. You're so cool and calm. Yes, doctor, that is for you. Dried tropical fruits for export, honey, vanilla, all kinds of ground provision, chips, water, sand, stones. So mass production, produce blocks for export to the region. That is what we are talking about. The most effective way to make millions in agriculture in a mountainous island is climate smart, resilient farming that utilizes terracing, protected agriculture. That is very good. The person is on the ball. And as this person is saying that, Doug, before you comment, because I suspect we are nearing the end of our program, but just as the person talk about this with respect to the pillars, we're talking about sustainable agriculture. We need to ensure that farming supports future generations. We have to do it for future generations. The agricultural system relies really on some interconnected principles. And we're talking about in the environment, social, we're talking about the people aspect, economic profits. And just as I highlighted, let me just see what it means. We're talking about the environment and the geographic space in which we live, talking about focuses on efficient resource use, the water, soil health, and integrating practices that minimize waste and environmental impacts. Talking about best farm practices, integrated pest management programs. This is where we're going. We talk about people and the integration of people in the society. Guarantees human access to safe, nutritious foods, ensures food sovereignty, and protects the welfare of agriculture. We talk about food security. Doc, this is something that we need to ensure. We need to ensure that Dominica is self-sufficient in many things. At one point in time, we were self-sufficient in bananas. Everywhere you go was a banana. You could make a banana pie. You could make banana, you could make banana juice,
bread,
banana smoothie, everything on bananas. It is now becoming a scarce commodity. And the other aspect with respect to what the person was saying there, the economic part of his profit part, we have always said that we need to make agriculture a business. So we have to ensure the financial viability of farming business, supporting long-term planning and fair reinvestment. We need to invest in small farm implements so that farmers can actually utilize these small farm implements to enhance their productivity, to do their work better. Example, post-hole diggers. We can do more holes or dig more holes efficiently and get more holes per day. This is where we are going with that resilient agriculture. And we talk about resilient agriculture, we talk about agriculture should get that thing out of a seasonal agriculture. There's nothing about seasonal agriculture. There should be year-round agriculture. Once we are able to utilize and maximize our water resource, we will be able to use that during the dry period. And also, too, when we have heavy spells of rain, we're supposed to minimize the water impact by ensuring that we have storm drains and to do the same terracing and counter terracing and different fruit trees being planted on the counter to reduce the impact of soil erosion and soil runoff. So yes, when we integrate all of this, that is what we're talking about, the resilient agriculture. But somebody said the most effective way to make millions in agriculture in a mountainous island is climate smart, resilient farming. That's what we're talking about. That utilizes terracing protected agriculture. Very good. Stepping down. When you terracing, you break down the water system. Water doesn't rush down the slope. Instead, what water does, it goes down slowly. It keeps the soil on the terrace so that the soil doesn't wash down, and we maintain the topsoil and most of our subsoil so that plants can grow efficiently and productively. So that is where we are going in the discussion, Doc. And it's really, really, really exciting times for us ahead.
Yes, so the excitement for me is the number of excellent suggestions that we're getting, and I'm taking copious notes. I'm actually noting some of these very, very intelligent suggestions, anywhere from preparing our young children for a future into the type of agriculture that we should be pursuing. These are all excellent ideas that are coming forward, and I really want to thank the audience for that, because it shows that we're engaged. We are not there lambasting people or bringing people down, but we are focused on the future of this country, as we rightly should. And that, to me, is extremely exciting, that we can encourage that kind of dialogue, that kind of exchange with our viewers. I'm very happy for it.
Yes, and one person was making reference to when you brought out the figures that the person said that last my 2006 Lexus, which could run well for another 150,000 miles, was going to be cost was going to cost him $50,000, Caribbean dollars, Eastern Caribbean dollars. Plus, you're talking about a $4,000 U.S. shipping. He had to cancel because of what he saw or what he has already found out with respect to the taxations. 54% of households in Dominica make less than $1,500 a month.
And this
Where's
is
the stability in that? Where's the
this is a
stability in
stunning
that? That's what I'm
statistic.
talking about. Where's the stability in that?
You know, but I'm telling you, but $1,500. This is stunning.
Very stunning.
You know,
Very
when you think about it, also you can even get a single bedroom rental around Roseau for less than $1,000. You're talking about
good.
$8,000, $9,000 for a one bedroom house. So if you're making $1,500 and you're paying $1,000 for rent, $500 to buy groceries, to pay your school fees, to pay Dowasco, to pay Domlek, it's not gonna happen. It's not
No,
gonna happen.
no.
You're stuck with your parents. That's the point that I was making.
Yeah.
These are the kind of hardships that have been faced by the Dominican public, who voted for a Labour government, believing that the Labour government was going to make their lives better. But instead, they have made the lives of the average Dominican a living hell. And that is why we are advocating for a minimum wage that is far above the current level. That is why we are advocating for advancement in agriculture, in the water industry, in manufacturing. That is why we are advocating to put money into the pockets of the Dominican public. That is why we are advocating job creation. That is why we are saying over and over and over again that the United Workers' Party is in a great position to transform this country, to change this country. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind so that we have within the United Workers' Party the ability to completely transform this Dominican economy. Absolutely no question. We have the resources right there within our country that will allow us to do that and to do that successfully. We can do this. We can do this. But we need to understand that we have to get rid of this, because as long as this administration is there, the dreams will continue to die. As long as this administration is there, the young people will continue to leave our country in droves. As long as this administration survives, we are stuck in reverse gear, going nowhere. And no matter the boast of 5% growth, that and the other, fact of the matter is we are stuck in reverse in Dominica. The fact of the matter is there is increasing poverty in Dominica, rising unemployment in Dominica, increasing hardships. The cost of living is sky high cost of living. When you tell me, you buy a little juice bottle for 20 something dollars, and I mean, it's just, cornflakes for the children, 40 something dollars. It's absurd. Absurd, the cost of living. And part of the blame for the high cost of living is because of the tax policy of this government. I'll repeat this because that's very important. The blame for the high cost of living in Dominica is as a result of the tax policy of the Labour Party government, a policy that the United Workers' Party will dismantle, will do away with, will replace with some easy, well-to-be understood taxes so that there will be no double taxation, which quite frankly, in my mind, is a form of thievery when you are adding tax on tax. The tax should just be by itself. The tax should be on the cost of the product. It should not be on the cost of the product plus. But that is what we have. That's what this government is doing, because they are wringing the public dry for what the public does not have, because they have failed to grow the economy. They have failed to provide good paying jobs. They have failed to provide a decent minimum wage. That is the legacy of this government. That is the legacy of the Labour Party government. And it's a legacy that the United Workers' Party will dismantle, because we believe that the people of Dominica deserve better than what they now have of this government.
Yes, and before we put on the curtain finally on this program, let's take some of the comments again. Anyone can use avocado to make oil. Anyone can make coconut oil if one has a blender and water. No food should go to waste. Somebody's saying they're a great program. We know we are talking about results, and somebody's making an important point there. If we can cultivate robust agriculture systems, what about forcing relationship with universities abroad so their students who major in agriculture can do hands training for a semester in Dominica for college credit? And just as the caller is saying that, I remember I met a guy in Venezuela sometime in 2002, and he was the Jamaican guy attached to Simon Bolivar College, and they were doing agriculture right there. And this guy came to Dominica to do his what they call pacencia, what they call his field work, and he was attached at a farm in Salisbury. Another Venezuelan guy came here and was doing some other project. So you are correct, caller, that these things can happen once you are showing that you have agricultural systems that can work. People can come on the study your system and sort of do their project on it, and to probably enforce it by making recommendations. So you're correct. These are the things that we have to do. And someone is saying that we need to make money ourselves. With your guidance, I just hope that type of talk will travel across north, south, east, and west. We need a new manager, a new CEO, and I'm listening to it right now. I'm living in Dominica now and can vote. Lots of people coming back home are discouraged and want to return outside of Dominica. How can we encourage us to stay in Dominica to help build it? Tell me more about it. My eyes almost bulge out. My car runs so well that I get offers for it often. I know its history and I take care of my vehicles, and I wanted it instead of buying used there.
I think that's the individual who said it would cost them $50,000 to
Right.
bring his Lexus down. I mean,
But Doug, it has been a great program. Let me say to all the persons who have participated, it's a pleasure to have had you, and your comments. It is a participative program. We ensured that you have your say, and we want to thank you for this. But Doug, as we wind down, I just would like your parting words before we can finally put on the curtain on this program.
I think it's important to remind the Dominican public that we have a government that is not interested in their welfare or their well-being, a government that is taking way too much from them through those duties that we see, arbitrary taxes, arbitrary service taxes, arbitrary excise taxes at the 45, 40, 25, 35%, taxes that total 5, 25, 30 times the value of what it is that you bought in the first place. We can do better in Dominica. This country has the resources to put our people to work. Our pledge and our commitment to the Dominican public is that a United Workers' Party government will put the young people of this country to work, will create the environment for good paying jobs in this country on our 10 pillars to shared prosperity, and importantly, to the long-suffering diasporans who long for home, who long to be able to say an alternate that they'll be eating a mango, fresh mangoes, and talking about mangoes also it hurts my eyes to see I was passing a certain area today and I just saw mangoes just lean. I tell you, just lean. Hundreds and hundreds of mangoes just on the ground. Juicy, delicious mangoes. But I digress. Just to say that we have so much that we can do so much with. And so we want to urge the Dominican public to give support to the United Workers' Party when there's an election, which we expect to come soon. We are urging the Dominican public to make that change for a better Dominica. You can do that by securing your future, securing the future of your children, of your parents, of your grandparents, of your brothers, your sisters, your cousins. You can secure their future by putting in place a government that truly cares about your welfare, that truly cares about your well-being, that is prepared to go to work on day one to bring meaningful change to our country. So we are very excited about what the future holds in terms of what we can do for this country, in terms of how we can transform this country. We believe that we can do that together. We encourage you to support us in that effort. We encourage you to continue to to do what is important, to be able to make the changes that we seek in this country. And so I want to say good night to everyone. Thank you for your support to the United Workers' Party. Thank you for your support to a better Dominica, one that we can truly see, develop, and become the best place to live, the best place to work, and absolutely the best place to enjoy life. This country of ours here in Dominica. Good night and
Yes.
God bless.
Yeah, good night and God bless. And before mobile banking, we just say our ID is 555-2242, account number 1005636. And you can also go on the website, www.dominica.com, click on donation and give us something very good. And as we put on the curtain, I want to read the last comment. I'm hearing a real leader that can change the franchise where everyone creates wealth for himself. We are Dominicans that need to take back the country to make money again. With that being said, we say good night. Until next time, this has been Real Talk with our political leader, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, and yours truly, the host, Glenroy Soso Coffee, Public Relations Officer of the United Workers' Party. Have a good night. May God bless. Until next time.